Yes, guys, welcome to the Fantasy Football Fix Game Week 37 live stream. We are in the penultimate game week of what feels like a very long season, but we still need to keep our motivation levels right up there because this is where it really counts, the back end of the season. And this is really where, as we saw in Game Week 36, there are still some monster scores to be had. And because this, of course, is a double Game Week 37, that means that there is plenty of potential out there for us FPL managers. So, of course, if you don't know already and you haven't been around the place before, my name is FPL Nacho. I am going to be hosting this live stream. And if you are new around here, please do hit the subscribe button and give this live stream a like. You guys have never failed for us to hit 50 likes on each live stream. So please do not make that be the end of the run that we've had this season. I can see some regular faces in there. Ice Cold Jones, hope you're doing well. Yassine, Rio, hope you're doing well, and Cheekster, doing very well. Hope you're doing well as well. So, of course, this is a Sunday deadline, which is really strange, to be honest with you. So, of course, we've got the FA Cup final on Saturday. Sunday is our deadline, so we have plenty of time to digest content, some of the press conferences, of course, and evaluate our teams going forward. So, this is going to be the usual sort of format for live stream, but importantly, because a lot of managers are activating their free hits, a lot of transfer discussions right now on some potential differentials and punts. We're going to be looking at 3 alternative free hit teams, my current one, and then 2 alternatives. Going to be looking at the projected points for Game Week 37, those best players to own. Going to be looking at Aston Villa defenders, Dean versus Cash, which one should you prioritise in your team? And then, of course, we're going to be looking at the Elite 11 and to round it off, some premium assets that we should have discussions about. So, Ice Cold Jones, I see you're saying about should you get Richarlison and Gordon or Zaha and an Everton defender. I think both options are decent moves going forward. And again, I think it's important to note that if you are going for this move in terms of free transfers and you double up on both Richarlison and Gordon, you'll then be going into Game Week 38 with a tricky away fixture against Arsenal. Whereas at least if you go into the option of maybe Zaha and Everton, you have what many view may be a favourable fixture for Zaha against Man United in Game Week 38. So while I like the Everton moves, I think you need to be cautious of Game Week 38 as well, because while they are viable for this week, you might have to have another free transfer in Game Week 38 to move away from those, because I don't know necessarily whether they're going to get much joy in Game Week 38, because of course Everton could be safe by then, which then means is their options going to be as attractive? And that's why I think free hitters have a real advantage this week, because you are getting Everton in a real kind of motivational moment, so that you have everything to play for right now, and that's where the assets are really attractive. Rio saying, hi Nacho, is it worth doing -4 to replace Saka with Zaha? And again, I do think that that could pay dividends in this game week, but Arsenal know that they have to win this game week to wrap up top 4. I think Saka is still a brilliant option. So yes, I do think Zaha could pay dividends in this game week, but over the next 2 game weeks, I don't really see too much in it. So it's all about kind of the way you're viewing it, whether you're viewing it over a 1 game week perspective or over the next 2. And Tech is saying, thoughts on the Vardy party on a free hit, heavily considering slapping the captaincy on him if we get any indication of him playing against Watford. So again, because we have a Sunday deadline, we're hoping that we could get some information revealed before that deadline, in particular the Leicester lineup, because I really do think, and you're going to see it later on, based on our projected points, Jamie Vardy is right up there as one of the best options to own. And I think, again, it's all about your current rank and the way you're viewing the next 2 game weeks. I think if you are playing safe, then I think Harry Kane is the obvious move to go for in your front line. I don't see many free hits out there where you can have both Harry Kane and Jamie Vardy side by side. So I think it's all about, first and foremost, your risk appetite and your rank. But I really do like Jamie Vardy if we can get some confirmation about him against Watford. And if you are going in on Vardy, then you might as well go the whole hog and put that captaincy on him, because even though he has Chelsea in his second game, we could be in a situation where top 4 is all but secured for Chelsea. And then that game could become really open. We could see goals left, right and centre in that game. And I do think that Leicester are really looking to play for something now between now and the end of the season. They've had the Europa League as a bit of a distraction for them. And I think now for Brendan Rodgers in particular, while his team could be on the beach, I view it more as an opportunity for him to really show what his team are about in the final few game weeks of the season. So I don't think that Chelsea game is necessarily a massive deterrent for managers. And of course, Chelsea off the back of their FA Cup final as well. We need to remember that as well. So as I mentioned, guys, I'm going to quickly show you my current free hit team. Now, it's worth mentioning, currently ranked about I can't remember what I've got on the screen right now, but about 880th in the world. I had a 300 red arrow, which, to be honest with you, after not bench boosting, I had no chips available. I'm absolutely delighted with that result. And the free hit is currently activated. So I'm going to show you my current free hit team on the Fantasy Football Fix Assistant Manager. And again, guys, if you do like what you see, check out all the links in the bio. And again, quick one, guys, for all those that did download our free Google Chrome extension, which basically incorporates our site with the official FPL site. Really massive shout out for checking that out. And again, let us know your reviews on it. And if you guys haven't checked it out, head over to our social medias, download the Google Chrome extension for free, an amazing edition which shows you effectively live rank, effective ownership, some really good stuff. So you can see on screen, guys, my current free hit team. So going to quickly cover it super quick. Pickford in goal. I think he's the best goalkeeper option, a good price, great fixtures. I think he's locked in for every free hit draft that I have created. Now, the defence, I've looked at a back three every single time, and I think that's the approach we all need to take with our free hit teams. I think there's good value in the forward departments and the midfield areas. I think in the defence, we go for the three at the back and we prioritise the other areas for our cash. So, nice segue, Matty Cash. He is, of all the defenders, locked in for me. I've looked at his underlying stats. I've looked at his game time at Aston Villa and the potential rotation risk. I don't see any rotation there for Matty Cash. And I like Aston Villa's 2 home fixtures against Burnley and Crystal Palace. So Matty Cash, brilliant option, I think, in the Aston Villa defence. And Digne, I like the Aston Villa double up. Of course, we've had a potential risk of Watkins having his minutes managed due to the injury. Not huge on Coutinho, not huge on Buendia. So really, if we want to triple up, I think the double in defence is the route to go for. Now, a few whispers about Digne maybe getting rotated with Ashley Young, maybe in one of the doubles. That could happen, but right now I don't see enough concrete evidence in it to suggest it could happen. So right now, I'm in on the Aston Villa double up in defence. And Trent Alexander-Arnold, currently a placeholder. I've got a lot of value tied up in him right now. He could easily become Robertson if we see enough from that FA Cup final. You have to remember, we have the FA Cup final on Saturday before the deadline, so we can gain loads of information then. So if Trent plays 120 minutes, looks tired, worried about potential rotation, because you have to remember Robertson was rested in game week 36, then that could easily become Robertson. Now in the midfield, Salah, yes, he has stayed in the free hit team. He had his rest, we think, in game week 36. I would like to think he's going to play in game week 37 against the Southampton team who have been so poor recently. I am not, against getting rid of Mo Salah, but I'll need to see a lot in the FA Cup final. For example, maybe Jota getting 0 minutes, and on that assumption, maybe plays the whole game against Southampton. That could be a really nice kind of price saver there, but right now, Salah is in the team and locked in. Worth mentioning, although I have the captaincy on him in this free hit draft, it won't be a captaincy on Salah, I'm almost certain. Son, again, brilliant form right now, and I love the fixture against Burnley. Few people say maybe Spurs could be a little bit tired going to this game, but I still really like the way he's playing right now. Gordon, don't like him at all. I have to admit, I do not like him as an FPL option. However, he ticks a lot of boxes, has a double, game time, and importantly, his price point is excellent. So he's made his way into the team, but I'm not huge on it. And Zaha, I've seen a lot of people talk about him. I think he's rightly so in a lot of free hit teams. And he's a really nice differential as well, because that's the whole point of a free hit sometimes. It's just dropping a few differentials here and there. And the front line, Harry Kane, Ings and Richarlison. Now, recently, it was Watkins, but with the recent injury news to him, I think Danny Ings is the better option in that front line. Richarlison, I think he's a no-brainer of free hits. And again, as I mentioned, this is currently my Kane draft. I have a few alternatives I want to show you. But if I was going down the double attacking Spurs route, then this is roughly how my draft would look. So let me know in the chat, guys, what your thoughts are on my current free hit draft. It was really interesting to see what you guys think about it. I'm going to quickly answer a few more questions because we are tight for time on this one. I'm going to be wrapping this up at 6 p.m. So about 50 minutes time. So let me answer a few more questions. I'll come on to the next free hit draft. So Rick L saying, Watkins or Richarlison for captaincy, only double game week players? Well, Rick, based on the recent press conference, we know that Watkins is a potential injury risk for this game week. So on that premise, I think Richarlison is an obvious route for you to go down. Josh saying, who are the 5 must-haves? Okay, so if I was going for 5 must-haves in a free hit team, as you can see on my free hit right now and the way I've discussed them, I think Pickford is a must-have in goal. I think he's the best option on your free hit. I think Matty Cash as well is a really nice price point, attacking potential, and also great double. So I think he's the second one of the 5 must-haves. Now again, nobody's a must-have, but I think Son is probably one of the best single game weekers for you to own. So I'm going to put him in that conversation. I really like Zaha, so I'm going to put him in as a must-have. And I think Richarlison as well. So if I had to pick 5, that would be there right now as kind of like the core of your free hit team. But again, I really don't think there are must-haves in the free hit. I think you can go in any direction that you want to. I think there's great combinations out there. And Josh saying about, is Maddison a good option? And yes, I do think he is a good option. Now, I really don't know whether Leicester assets are going to get full game time or not. There's really not huge logic for us to assume that, but if you can't go down the Vardy route and you have a bit of money knocking about in the midfield, then I really do like Maddison as an alternative in your free hit team. But if I had to say to you right now, Zaha or Maddison, because they're both priced so similarly, I probably would still favour Zaha over Maddison, just so I know his game time is pretty locked in as we speak. But I really do like Maddison if you really want to go a bit differential in your team. So that was kind of my Harry Kane draft. Let me show you my current KDB draft. Again, Kevin De Bruyne, for those that don't know the lingo. Now, you can see the general kind of makeup of this team is very similar to that of the previous, but a few tweaks here and there. Defence. Have to get rid of the Liverpool defence, obviously, to afford the route that I'm going down with Kevin De Bruyne as we speak. Worth mentioning, I have 1.5 million in the bank with this draft. So Mykolenko coming in for an Everton double up. And again, if I was going all in on a team for defence, outside of Aston Villa, it would be Everton. I think they're good fixtures for them, plenty to play for. So I like Mykolenko alongside Pickford. Great price points, not too much of your cash being spent there. Now, to bring Kevin De Bruyne in, obviously I've sacrificed the 5th budget option, which was Dewsbury Hall in the previous draft. And I've also brought in Maddison as an alternative to Gordon. And again, this team gives me a little bit more punts and differentials here and there, which I really do like. The Maddison route, as I mentioned, I prefer Jamie Vardy, absolutely. But Maddison, if we can get his game time locked in for that Watford game, I think is a really nice option. And in the front line, I've gone for the obvious 2 in Ings and Richarlison. I can't afford Harry Kane in this draft just because of the amount of assets that I got in there. Now, could I upgrade some other areas? Potentially, but with Kevin De Bruyne, this is kind of the best draft that I can create. And now it's worth mentioning, 1.5 million in the bank as well. So I can upgrade some of the bench potentially. I could upgrade other areas, but this is roughly where I would fall if I was looking for a Kevin De Bruyne draft. So again, guys, let me know in the chat what your thoughts are on this. Now, a lot of people saying Kevin De Bruyne, Kane, what route should we go down? Because I think a lot of people are going for Salah, going for Son, and they have that 3rd premium spot available and they don't know what route to go down. Now, it's so hard to go against Kevin De Bruyne because of his recent returns in game week 36, but I just think with that home fixture against Burnley, we know Ben Mee's still out. Tarkowski's a real late fitness test for that game. I just really like Harry Kane in that fixture at home. Absolutely no denying that West Ham is a good fixture for Man City, but a week's rest for West Ham, coming off the back of a double for Man City, I think there's potential there for a tough game for Man City. So while I love Kevin De Bruyne, I think right now if I had to put my money on it, I would probably go for Harry Kane as my premium rather than Kevin De Bruyne. But again, guys, let me know in the chat, what are your thoughts on that? Are you team Kevin De Bruyne? Are you team Kane? Let me know. And again, guys, please do drop a like on the live stream. Again, we do try and always hit 50 likes on this, so appreciate it if you can get us there. Right, FPL Bateman, are we doing well? If Vardy gets 70 minutes twice, then he could bang, especially against a hugely depleted Watford. I absolutely agree there, Bateman. Hopefully we do get some team news prior to the deadline, because I think if we do get confirmation that Jamie Vardy is going to be started against Watford, then I think that's an amazing opportunity for those managers that are maybe chasing mini leagues, chasing rank, to go all in on him. Because you have to remember that you are probably sacrificing Harry Kane in your draft, but you can have Son in the midfield as your almost blanket cover. And we've seen over recent game weeks, apart from last one, that Son has been outscoring Kane quite comprehensively. So there's no reason why you have to go double up on that Spurs attack. Son could do the job for you. And Tech saying, this is just confirmation bias. I need to captain him. Sweet smile. Just need some early team leaks to lock it in. And I agree there. Hopefully that team leaks can give us some alternatives there. Kelvin Beals, I can't pronounce that one. It's not showing my latest transfers when I reload my squad, log out and log in. When will this get fixed? Kelvin, I'll make sure I let the team know on that one. Unfortunately, I don't do the techie stuff. I can hardly set up a live stream myself personally, but I will drop that a message on the chat there to try and help that out, and hopefully that can get resolved for you before today. So I'll try and get that sorted for you, mate. Alvin, after squad application, I make changes to my squad and reload the squad. They make another transfer recommendations whereby the maximum number of transfers is 1. So what do I do? Also, Alvin, not sure what you said about that one. I make changes to my FPL squad and reload the squad. They make another transfer recommendations whereby the okay, Alvin, I have to double check that one. I'm not too sure on that one. Apologies. Again, it might be the same issue. So hopefully we can get that one sorted for you there. I see Connor's in the chat. Hope you're doing well, mate. Richarlison or Ings for captaincy, and my thoughts on doubling on Leicester with Maddison and Vardy if they start versus Watford. Yeah, so I think right now I probably would go for Richarlison. Now, I think they're both on penalties. Am I right in thinking? I think Ings will probably be the penalty taker in that Aston Villa team. And I think Richarlison would be the penalty taker in that Everton team. But I think the game time is probably a little bit more secure with Richarlison. I think with Watkins in the recent press conferences that we've been reading right now is that while it looks like he could be ruled out, there's a chance that he could be in. And with a double game week, I think there's a chance that maybe Ings starts the first game and gets 90 minutes and maybe gets rotated in the second game if Watkins is available. I just really like the dependency on Richarlison being guaranteed game time across the course of 2 games. Looking at our projected points as well, it's worth noting, we'll come on to in a minute. I think we do favour Richarlison as well, but it could have updated. But I will definitely check that out, mate. And in terms of the Maddison and Vardy double up, I absolutely love it. If you guys are chasing rank, you want to go big, then I absolutely do think that a double up of Maddison and Vardy is a great use of your budget. Because you have to remember, Vardy priced about 10.5 million, I think. Maddison about 7 million. That's a great use of your budget there. And I think if you are going down an alternative route, absolutely love that direction going for. So 100%. Now, talking about alternatives, I've got one more draft here to show you guys. And this one is a little bit rogue, but it's not crazy. I don't think it's crazy. And I think it's something that we definitely can consider. Now, this one basically gets rid of the Aston Villa double defence, brings out Salah, no Harry Kane, but a few nice differentials in there. And if you are chasing mini leagues, I really do like this team. So 0.4 million in the bank, so not much to play with here. But again, Pickford in goal. I think he's the best goalkeeper available. Robertson in the defence. My assumption is Robertson plays both league games between now and the end of the season based on his rest in game week 36. So on that premise, I think Robertson is a really nice option alongside Mykolenko and Matty Cash. I think Mykolenko the best Everton defender, Matty Cash the best Aston Villa defender. And again, going with a back 3. Now, in order for me to afford this sort of team, I've had to sacrifice Mo Salah. But the logic behind that, and again, this is all assumptive, so don't kind of make any decisions based on this. But if Mo Salah was to play 120 minutes, they started a front 3 of Diaz, Mane and Salah. We saw Jota maybe get 30 minutes. The assumption there would be that Jota would be the preference to start against Southampton. And if that was the case, then I really do like Jota as maybe a little bit of a punt against Mo Salah if you are worried about his game time. Again, because it is a later fixture in the week, we're not going to get any news before the deadline, unfortunately. But with that kind of price saving, it means that we're going to have a midfield of Kevin De Bruyne, Son and Zaha, which I really do like. Again, I've built drafts right now that I currently have, which has the likes of Gordon in the midfield. And while, yes, he is decent value at that price point, I just don't look at him and think there is great FPL potential there. It's more of a stopgap because of his price. Whereas I look at this team and I think there is points potential in every single player there. I don't feel like there's any necessary weak points in it. Ings, Vardy and Richarlison to make up the front 3 again. Sound like a broken record, but Ings and Richarlison I really do think are the best 2 options in your free hit draft if you are looking for game time and just kind of fixtures with their double. But this route gives me Jamie Vardy in the team, and that's what I really do like in terms of differential. And even though I'm 880th or whatever in the world, I'm not against going rogue and going for a team like this. Yes, you are sacrificing Harry Kane effective ownership, Salah effective ownership, but I think you cover yourself really nicely with this draft. So again, guys, let me know in the chat what your thoughts are. This team is projected to score 85 points. I think the other two were around 88, so slightly less. But I think there's real potential for this team with the likes of Jamie Vardy and maybe even Jota if you want to go down a different route. So let me know in the chat, guys, what your thoughts on this draft. Do you prefer 1, 2, or 3? Be really interesting to know what your thoughts are. The man, the myth, the legend, what a great name. Your opinion on the teams with a double game week who have a higher chance of getting clean sheets in both matches. Okay, so looking at the... Let's go into the algorithm points right now to look at the potential returns for defenders. So if we bring up the defenders for game week 37 in isolation, we can see there that Aston Villa are projected to score the highest points based on defenders. Now, of course, this isn't necessarily just clean sheet potential because the likes of Matty Cash and Digne offer attacking potential. So while Matty Cash has a projected points of 7.9, again, there could be attacking potential in there to cover off maybe some clean sheet that isn't expected. But you can see right there, Mykolenko in 4th place on our projected points for defenders. So again, a really great option for those that are maybe not confident in an Aston Villa double up in the defence. You could easily go for maybe Matty Cash and Mykolenko in your defence. And in terms of the goalkeepers, based on projected points, you can see there Pickford, the best option available with 8.8 projected points. Now again, Martinez not too far behind on 8.3, but it's all about price points right now when we are creating free hit teams. And right now, I much prefer the combination of a Pickford and Matty Cash rather than go for Martinez at 5.5 million and then a Mykolenko. I think there's much more value in you going down the Pickford plus Cash route than the Martinez plus Everton defence. Much more value there. So Martinez is right off the table. Then we see the likes of Butland and then Schmeichel. But again, that Chelsea game could be a goal fest. If Chelsea get confirmed top 4, that could just be one for the crowd, really. And getting plenty of goals on the score sheet. So I'll filter this back, guys, to all players so we can see the projected points for game week 37. Now, again, after recent news of Jamie Vardy, obviously getting that brace, he is right up there as the best player for game week 37 based on our projected points. On 9.1, on that premise, if you are confident on him playing both games against Watford and Chelsea, then he becomes your best captaincy option available. Now, surprisingly, Pickford's second best on the list on 8.8, followed by Martinez. You can see a bit of a trend here. We have some of the defensive assets emerging. And again, that's why I really do think that Everton and Aston Villa are the two to target if you are going defensive in that route. And that's why I think a double up is a really nice option for a bit of a differential in your mini leagues. Cash, Mings, I'm not a big fan of Mings personally. Then we come into some of the attacking assets. So Wilfried Zaha, 7.7 projected points. Again, kind of reaffirming what we said about him being in a lot of free hit teams. Then we start coming up with the first single game weeker, and that's going to be Mo Salah on 7.6 points. Now, we have to remember, Southampton's recent run of form has been really, really poor. I believe they're about 6th worst for big chances conceded recently. They're really on the beach right now. And yes, Southampton in the past, not just against Liverpool, but against other teams, have been a bit of a banana skin fixture. But I think right now, with the way that Liverpool have to get goals to kind of make up the goal difference, and they have to get the win to keep the title charge on, I think Mo Salah is still an excellent pick in those free hit drafts. And although I've said about Jota being a good alternative, if money was no object, Mo Salah absolutely would be the route that I would choose to go down. And looking at some of the other options here, Ings emerging, 7.3 projected points. And again, Richarlison on 7.2. So absolutely nothing in it between the two. I think it's really a coin flip if you were looking at captaining one or the other. Again, the only thing I would say is Richarlison, I probably would argue, is more likely to be 180 minutes over those two fixtures rather than Danny Ings. So I'll leave the projected points up there for you guys for game week 37 in isolation. I'll come back to the questions. And then what I'll do is I'll filter it by game week 37 and 38. Because I know a lot of you out there right now aren't free hitting in game week 37. And you're looking for transfers that are not only going to benefit you for 37, but also in 38. So it's worth mentioning that. I don't want to just isolate it for you guys there. Josh is saying, I have 6 million. Is Trossard as a punt a better option over Gordon considering Leeds' poor form? Now, Trossard has been in excellent form right now, but I just think going for Gordon is probably the route that I would recommend you going for. Just because of the double game week, I really don't think that you need to overthink it. I think Gordon would be the one I would like to go for. It means that you're going to free up some funds available as well. So maybe in game week 38, that additional 1.2 million in the bank could be the difference between you rolling Trossard out in game week 38 or upgrading another area in your team to then have a better team overall. So hopefully that makes sense there for you, Josh. Rio, thanks, Nacho. Is it worth a -8 to replace Gordon and Watkins for Zaha and Danny Ings? I'm not massive on that for a -8 personally. I think Zaha is likely to outscore Gordon, absolutely. But when you're coming into a -8, already you've got an uphill battle there. And I think you could just do a -4 potentially and do Watkins sideways move to Ings if you can afford it, or even to Richarlison. Again, I'm not really too sure on your team, Rio, so I can't give you absolute detailed, obviously, information on that one. I do apologise. A text saying Cash, Digne, Mikalenko, or Matip. Cash, Digne, Mikalenko, or Matip, Digne, and Mikalenko on a free hit. Can't afford Matip, Cash, and Mikalenko. So, of that bunch there, I would go for the Cash, Digne, and Mikalenko move. And it's just mainly because of the double game week available. We don't even know necessarily if Matip might get rested. He might play the FA Cup final, and then Konate or Koyote, I can't pronounce his name, might even play the Southampton game. So we're not even sure whether Matip is guaranteed to play. So it's worth mentioning that. But I would go for the Cash, Digne, and Mikalenko move and go all in on those double game weeks. And again, guys, if you can get us to 50 likes on this live stream, it'd be massively appreciated on that one. Nizar saying, is TAA preferable than Robertson? Noting that I have Shimikas on the bench. Okay, so Nizar, my assumption right now would be that Robertson is likely to play both games between now and the end of the season. I think Trent probably plays both games as well. But we have seen in the past Gomez come in at right back. So what I would say to you is, don't make any concrete decisions right now. We have the FA Cup final to play with. We can get loads of information from that. Lots could happen. We could see 120 minutes of extra time. We could see potential rotation if Trent comes off early. It could skew our mindset. So I think don't make any concrete decisions right now. I think if I had to pick one, it would be Trent if I knew that they were both playing. But if you want the safer option and the FA Cup final goes through unscathed, then I probably would go for Robertson if you are worried about Trent rotation. Now, Julio saying, I have Schmeichel, Ramsdale, Alonso, Cancelo, Robertson, Cash, Dyer, Saka. Who do I bench? Okay, so I would probably start Schmeichel because he has a double game week and I'm just big on double game week players effectively. Now, I think Cash has to start. I think Dyer can be benched just because of his attacking potential isn't there at all. So I'd probably play Cash, Robertson, and Cancelo definitely in your team. Looking at the rest of your team, I think you have to play Richarlison, you have to play Kevin De Bruyne, you have to play Son. So how many are we looking to bench here, mate? Like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I probably would bench Nketiah. I would go for Dyer, Nketiah, and Tony likely, and I would keep an eye on Ramsey, keep an eye on the information on his injury, and then if not, I would start. I would then probably start Nketiah over Ramsey and bench Ramsey, Dyer, and Tony. I think I said that. Connor, thank you, mate. Just one more thought. Thoughts on Mikalenko versus Digne. Lots reckon Digne may. Yeah, Connor, this is so interesting because I thought Digne was absolutely locked in, but I can see the conversations going on Twitter right now where a lot of people are discussing about what route to go down and whether Digne is actually offering a bit of a rotation risk because Ashley Young could get minutes. Now, I'm not of that thought process myself, but again, these guys are Aston Villa through and through. They know more than we do. So, again, that's the last thing we want right now is a free hit team and then knowing that Digne is only getting 90 minutes. So, I think it's that classic situation where we could overthink it a little bit and we could be in a position where Digne does his classic troll when he plays both games, highest point scorer of the week, and we don't put him in because of the rumours that we're seeing right now. So I probably am going to roll with Digne and go for it, but I appreciate, mate, as well. If we're worried about it and that free hit team's all about getting doublers in, then go for the Mikalenko route. You know as well as I do that Mikalenko's going to play 180 minutes in that double. You can go for Matty Cash and get that Aston Villa coverage, get Ings up front, have the double up in Everton, and probably go down that route. But I think if you're really worried, go for Mikalenko. I think he's going to get guaranteed game time for you there. Harvey, what's a free hit team for holding rank? Well, Harvey, I think if you're in a team for holding rank, then I think my first free hit team is probably the route that I would recommend. Now, it's worth mentioning, with this free hit team that I am showing you right now, you're basically getting the coverage of Mo Salah, who is obviously highly owned. We have to remember, De Bruyne, while he had 4 goals, his ownership didn't damage managers as to the extent of what maybe Mo Salah would do if he scored 4 goals and you didn't own him. So, although Kevin De Bruyne had an unbelievable game week, his ownership isn't going to hurt you as bad in terms of holding rank. So, Salah, Son, absolutely are going to help you cover that off. And Alexander-Arnold is going to cover you with the Liverpool defence. And if you need to save a bit of money, I think that Robertson is a good alternative. Now, with the Man City defence, again, I have a double Aston Villa defence right now, but if you really need to cover yourself off with Man City, you could go for a Cancelo or even go cheaper with someone like Zinchenko with the recent injuries that they've had in that Man City team. I think Zinchenko is likely to play, or even an Ake. But then with Kane covers you for the Spurs, and Richarlison and Ings cover you for those that wildcarded earlier in the season. So this sort of draft is probably the route I'll go for. I don't see too much outside of this draft that could hurt to you. So maybe play around with a draft like this and hopefully that will help out. And guys, again, with the projected points here, what I'm going to do, I filtered it by projected points over the next 2 game weeks, because again, some managers out there are looking just to have free transfers, and we need to consider game week 38 as well as 37. Now you can see that Reece James is actually projected. I can't believe that's true. Reece James projected to score the most points between now and the end of the season. Now, just a quick reminder on the fixtures coming up for him. Leicester at home and Watford at home. So, again, we really don't know about Chelsea going forward, what they're going to do with the FA Cup final and how that's going to hinder that Leicester game. But James, if you own him, I think you hold him right now, absolutely. And again, Jamie Vardy, for those managers that are potentially looking at a real rogue move and you haven't got a free hit, then he is still coming up a great option between now and the end of the season. A quick reminder of game week 38, he has a home fixture against Southampton, which is an unbelievably good fixture for Jamie Vardy. So if you're looking for transfers, I don't really know what position you're going to be in where you can bring in Jamie Vardy as a free transfer, but if you can, I think that's a great one for your mini leagues to be chasing. Would I sell Harry Kane for Jamie Vardy? Probably not. That's the only thing I would say to you there. Again, Son, Kane emerging great options between now and the end of the season. We knew that already. In particular, with that Norwich fixture last game of the season, that looks excellent for Son and Kane owners. And again, De Bruyne still looking really good, but no surprises that Salah is still ahead of Kevin De Bruyne right now in terms of the projected points. So I'll leave that on screen for you guys just to check it out so you're not missing a thing on there. And again, guys, if you can get us to 50 likes, we'd massively appreciate it with this live stream. Frederick, hello Nacho. If I'm on a live stream, if I'm on a free hit and I make transfers out of my players who I have tied price change when my team goes back to the original team in game week 38, will I still have the older price changes? Frederick, basically with that is yes, if you were to sell your players in your free hit, you're going to revert back to what the original team was, I think. Let me know in the chat, guys. No, I tell a lie. I think if the players go up in value, then you will get those price rises with your original team and you'll come back to that sort of price difference, my assumption is. So, Frederick, I apologise. My brain is not ticking as it usually would, so I can't have you an exact answer. But my assumption is your original team, you'd get them price rises going into game week 38. Malik saying, Watkins play or not? Thanks. Malik, right now we really don't know. The only thing I can say to you is the press conference was very murky. The assumption is he isn't going to be playing, let's say, 180 minutes over the course of both games. Could he play 120? Absolutely. And is that enough for you to sell? That is your decision there personally. But Watkins, I think right now is probably a really tricky one where you probably just hold. If you're really worried about minutes, maybe do a sideways move to Richarlison or Danny Ings. And George 100 saying Kane or KDB on a free hit. I think both are really good options. I just play the fixtures in front of us. And what I really do like is that Burnley at home fixture for Harry Kane. So personally, I'm probably going to go down the Harry Kane route. but who can I knock people if they are going for KDB off the back of 4 goals? I just think with West Ham having a week's rest, I think that's going to be a bit of a tougher game than what the Wolves game posed for them. And Alva's saying, is Emerson Royal a good budget option? Now, it looks like he has that position absolutely locked in. So, I don't think there's any worries about potential game time for Emerson Royal. So, looking at his projected points over the coming game weeks, between now and the end of the season, he's projected to score 10.7 points. Now, I would not consider him for a free hit team. Absolutely not. The Aston Villa defenders, the Everton defenders are right up there on the priority list. But if we were looking at defenders between now and the end of the season, you can see that Emerson Royal is projected to score the 5th most points of any defender. So if you're not in the market for a premium, you want a budget option, Emerson Royal, I think you can do worse. Absolutely. I think that's a really nice move for you to make. With the fixtures that Spurs have, Burnley and then Norwich, I think there's 2 clean sheet potentials absolutely there for him. Questions. What we got, guys? CDM Bluebird holding off on a free hit to win mini league. If Poole can't win Premier League, I'd be in trouble. Hopefully that pays off for you, buddy, on that one. Abdul saying, what about fielding a whole 11 of double game week players when playing your free hit? What about fielding a whole 11 of double game week players? Okay, so if you were in a position where you were looking to play all double game week players, that was like the one that you were thinking, then I'll try and create this on the spot for you guys just so you have an idea of what route I'll go for. So the draft that I have on screen right now, who doesn't double? So Robertson's out the equation, De Bruyne, Son, Jota's out the equation. The rest on the screen are good. We'll leave the bench because they're just the bench really. So who would I include if I was just considering doublers? Well, I think I would chuck in another Aston Villa defender, absolutely, to get them in the mix for sure. We've got double Everton, we've got double Aston Villa. Now, in terms of the midfield, I think we need to get ourselves Maddison. Now, the big thing about this is if you are going for, apologies, I can't go for Maddison because I have too much bloody Leicester. Who would have thought? Let's get Kelly in there. We'll leave that a minute. Apologies, I'm on the spot here, but I'm trying to help you out here. So, basically, based on projected points, if you were looking for just doublers, so let's get 37 up on the mix. So, look, I've mentioned it. Digne, Coutinho, I'm not a big fan of. Ings, Konsa, Richarlison. So we'd probably have to get Gordon in. I agree on that. Gordon would probably have to come into the conversation for a double team. Again, guys, if you have any thoughts, please do drop it in the conversation. Christ, too many Everton. That's mental. Okay, so we're going to get rid of... we'll get rid of Gordon, and maybe we can go a bit differential here. Maybe seeing what Olise maybe looks like. That could be a nice option. Okay, let's go for this route. Let's get rid of Mikalenko. Let's get Anderson in the team, and then we're going to go for Gordon in the midfield. Okay, we're building a team. We're slowly getting there. Apologies for those that are watching. It's absolutely terrible viewing. And let's drop in Kelly as well, just so we can cover off the defence. And we have one more spot, and that is the midfielder who is doubling. Salah, Coutinho. Coutinho could come in the mix. Tielemans is an option as well. Decore? Bloody hell. Son, Gallagher, Gray. Gray's a nice option as well. Cornet. Cornet's not bad. Cornet can come in. Look, I'm not sitting here and telling you that you can get... The problem is here with this team, and this is absolutely the problem, is there is no premiums if you're looking to double. There's no premium teams that double. Therefore, it is so hard to spend all of your money on double game week players. And I think that is why the balance of having doublers alongside template premiums is the route to go for. So, look, this team is actually projected to score more than the team I showed you previously. But I just think personally that you need to sprinkle in some of those premium singles into your team. But if you're looking for a double game week team, this could be the answer to that, maybe. But I'm not big on it. Let me know in the chat, guys, what your thoughts are on that one there. Right, guys, we've got 20 more minutes this live stream. I do have to dip off because I've got a football presentation that I need to get to. So, CDM Bluebird saying, Digne sub for Young rather than bench for Shirley in second game. Yeah, so I agree on that one. I don't think necessarily we have absolute concrete evidence that Digne's minutes are going to get managed, or even if he's going to miss a game completely. So it is worth mentioning that. I really just think that Digne and Cash are brilliant double ups. I don't think we need to read too much into it. And if it does happen, then we just take it on the chin, as we have with all our FPL moves recently this season. Basil saying, on a free hit, Vardy or Kane. So Basil, I think this is all about the rank and the kind of manager that you are. If you have a risk appetite where you are seeking a bit of a differential and you want to go down that route, then I think Jamie Vardy is absolutely the route that you should go for. Now, showing you the projected points for the forwards here, you can see that in game week 37, Vardy is projected to score way more points than Harry Kane. We have to remember Vardy has a double, Harry Kane with the single game week, while favourable. Now again, it's all about risk appetite, because as I mentioned, while Jamie Vardy is projected to score 9.1 points, is he going to play 180 minutes or even 120 minutes across those 2 game weeks? I can't sit here and guarantee that, whereas I'm almost certain Harry Kane plays 90 in that Burnley fixture. So I absolutely love it. If you're chasing a mini league, you're chasing rank, Vardy, brilliant option for game week 37 free hit. I can't knock anybody for going down that route, but I think it really is important that he does play that Watford game, as I think that's going to be really where the points do lie in this double game week. Connor, awesome mate, and Harvey, hope you're doing well. Best choice for captaincy. Okay, so I think if I was rating the captaincy right now, I think Richarlison is going to be right up there as a captaincy pick. I think he's rightly so because of his game time, penalties, and good double game week fixtures. I think, again, as I've touched on, if you are looking for that chase in the mini league, that differential, then Jamie Vardy is the route you need to go for captaincy. And I think you just go for it and you accept the consequences with minutes if they do happen. Outside of those two, I think Ings is a really nice option with the recent Watkins injury news that we are getting. And if you want to go single game weekers, then I think Salah and Son still remain really good captaincy picks if you want to go down that route for sure. Cheekster, why are projected points so much lower than the points that players have been earning in recent game weeks? Cheekster, maybe because of the double game week skewing it a little bit. Now, obviously with the projected points, we have to remember that the points that players have been scoring recently are probably in double game weeks as well. So, for example, Harry Kane has been hauling recently and Son's been hauling, but probably in double game weeks. So, while Harry Kane's 5.9 probably looks really small in compared to previous game weeks, in a single game week, that isn't too bad. And again, these are all projected points based on recent underlying stats, the fixture coming up. So, I think these are projected points are usually okay. And again, we are taking into account single game weeks, so we might be comparing them against double game week scores, which might skew those projected points there. So, guys, I want to quickly touch on Cash versus Digne, because I've got this up on the player heat map section, just so we can have a little bit of a rundown on how they operate in this Aston Villa team. First up, we're looking at the course of the season right now. Player heat map, again, we can see Cash on the left-hand side on your screens. Very, very similar to Luca Digne. The one thing I would say, Digne on set pieces is probably the one thing that I would say favours him over Matty Cash. He just has that slight more set piece potential. But in terms of attacking, in terms of the field, you see Matty Cash getting more touches in and around the box, but they are both very dominant on their touchline that they effectively play on. And when we come down to the actual underlying stats per 90, because we have to remember Matty Cash has played a lot more minutes than Digne, Matty Cash is delivering in most of the areas here. 0.09 goals per 90. Expected goals in Cash's favour, shots in Cash's favour, shots on target in Cash's favour. But as I mentioned, because of the set piece potential of Lucas Digne, I think the expected assists and the attempted assists are a lot more in Digne's favour per 90. And that is going to be expected just because of him being responsible for corners, deep line free kicks in those areas. Now, what I'm going to do is quickly filter it by maybe the last 10 game weeks, just to get a bit more of an understanding, or maybe from game week 30, just to get a bit more of an understanding on recency, because I know a lot of people don't like short-term data because it doesn't really give us a general realistic view, but because Aston Villa have been playing slightly different recently, Digne's been coming back from injury. To be honest with you, looking at the minutes of Digne here, I think it's even harder to come through a conclusion because of his injury. So if we go from game week 32, maybe that'll be a bit more accurate, I believe. Yeah, let's say game week 32. Again, I apologise. It's a super, super small sample size. So I don't like making decisions based on this. I know a lot of you don't either. So it is worth mentioning that when we do consider this. And again, touch heat map, I wouldn't read too much into because it's just such a small sample size. But what is consistent is Digne remaining on corners, set pieces, which I think, again, is a real big factor to consider. And again, Digne being slightly cheaper than Matty Cash. But again, when we come down to the average stats per 90, the same theme continues. Matty Cash remains more of a goal threat. His expected goals, his shots per 90, his shots on target per 90, and shots in the box per 90 are higher than Luca Digne. But the expected assists, the goal assists, the attempted assists are much, much higher in Digne's favour. So the way I view it right now is I still think Matty Cash is probably the route I would go for, just because of that guaranteed game time. And if you can pay that 0.3 more, I think it's worth it. But do not be surprised, just because of the set piece potential of Digne, that he could pick up a couple of assists over this double game week. It's the classic case of one's probably going to get 4 points, one's going to get 20. That's kind of the way that the FPL season is rolling right now. Hopefully you are on the right end of it. And again, if you want to really cover your basis, then you could just go all out and own both of those players for your free hit team. Jim saying, to what extent can Jota cover Salah? Now, I think this is going to be all about that FA Cup final, how their game time is managed in that FA Cup final. Do I think Jota could cover Salah? I think there's potential there, but I really do think that Salah still remains a brilliant option for a single game weeker in your free hit team. It's going to cover you off in terms of rank, so you're not going to get heavily hit. If you do go down the Jota route, and it just doesn't deliver for you, that could be really big consequences for your overall rank. So I think if you're worried about overall rank, you just go for Salah. You accept it's almost a placeholder in your team that covers rank. Bit boring, but sometimes you just need to have those plays in your team, as over the longer term, it's going to pay dividends in terms of your overall rank. So guys, I want to quickly show you the fixed comparison matrix as well. I want to just quickly compare some premium midfielders against one another, just to see how they are comparing over the last 10 game weeks, because I know a few of you may be looking at Mane as a differential to Salah. You might be comparing De Bruyne versus Son, or maybe De Bruyne versus Salah as your transfers. Now, again, the 4 goals for Kevin De Bruyne is probably going to skew this a little bit, and we all know that that is not going to happen week in, week out. But this is based on the last 10 game weeks, from game week 26 to 36. But remember, there are doubles that have dropped in here and there. And I filtered it by average per game, just so we get a bit of an understanding and consistency on the underlying stats, so they're minutes, because they are very different between them. So FPL points is in Kevin De Bruyne's favour, 9.1, and we can see the decline in Mo Salah in terms of points per game compared to Kevin De Bruyne of recent. And we know that Son has been in unbelievable form recently, and again, there's no surprises to see him keeping pace with Kevin De Bruyne. In terms of the goals, 0.9 goals per game for Son, 0.8 per goals for Kevin De Bruyne. Again, those 4 goals are going to skew this a little bit. But again, Mane actually keeping tabs with Salah over this period. And again, a lot of people who went for for Sadio Mane as a bit of a differential have paid dividends over the last 10 game weeks for sure. Now looking at the FPL assists, again, no surprise Kevin De Bruyne is top of the charts here. We're not used to seeing Salah and Mane's up there just because of the way that they are deployed in their respective teams. They are the finishers of their team rather than the creators like a Kevin De Bruyne. And the shots, selfish Salah, always going to be the way at 3.8 per game. 2.4 still good for the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. Big chances created, very, very nothing to compare between De Bruyne and Salah. And FPL bonus points, no surprises that De Bruyne is top of the charts there because of the way he operates, being both a creator and a goal scorer. All he has to do is basically pick up an assist or a goal, and he's right in amongst the bonus points. We know historically Mo Salah isn't a bonus point magnet because of the way that he loses possession, shots off target. That sort of shot volume is going to hinder you as an FPL asset from a bonus point perspective. But what is the point of this right now? It's basically just to confirm what we know already. Premium assets are still the route to go for. I do think that Mane is an alternative to Salah between now and the end of the season based on the underlying stats. I think the only thing I would say to you is Mane the one who's next to rotate? We don't know, but Salah has had his rest. Could Mane be next on the board? I think there's a potential for that, so it is worth noting. But I don't think there's any wrong route to go for. Now, the reason I say that is because a lot of people have been negatively impacted by the recent goal scoring of Kevin De Bruyne. His ownership was very, very low, and a lot of people were not owning him and thinking that was the end of the world. What I will say to you is, looking at these underlying stats, look at how close it is between these sort of assets. just remember that if we have any huge game week swings, just remember that your decision making wasn't the reason for that. You didn't make the wrong decision necessarily. The underlying stats back any move that you do make. It's just sometimes we get huge swings and variance in the game, which makes certain players come out on top compared to other premium assets. Who knows? Next game week, Salah could get the 4 and Kevin De Bruyne gets the 2 points. So just be conscious of that. But these underlying stats hopefully do indicate that all premium assets are still brilliant options going forward. But Kevin De Bruyne and Son in particular have been in a great purple patch over the recent game weeks. So guys, I'll leave that on screen for you guys. We've got 10 minutes until this is wrapped up again, guys. I do apologise. We are on a bit of a tight schedule this live stream. I see we're on 26 likes, so you can get us to 50. I know it's a big ask. It's a Friday night. You guys are obviously up to stuff. But if you can drop a like on this live stream, it would be massively appreciated. Right, Cheekster, for non-free hitters in double game week 37, which are the best players to own across both game week 37 and 38? So Cheekster, hopefully the projected points that I did show you earlier is going to help you out a little bit on that one in terms of that, because again, I know a lot of managers out there are not free hitting this game week and need to know who is the best players to own. So again, although Jamie Vardy is coming into the conversation as a free hit 37 option, he's a great 37 and 38 option as well. So I think he's a brilliant move for sure. But again, in terms of transfers, the premiums still remain. Pickford, I think he's great for 37, not good for 38 because of that Arsenal fixture. I think someone like Zaha emerges as somebody who's good for 37 and 38. 4.4 projected points in 38 against a Man United team who are really struggling right now. I think there's good potential for someone like Zaha. And I think the Chelsea assets, if you can get on the right one, still remain good moves. I probably wouldn't bring one in because I'll be worried about rotation and minutes. But I think the likes of Mason Mount, if you still have them, are great moves to hold on to long term. And if you could pay dividends in a goalkeeper transfer, then there is room for you to have a good score. But again, goalkeepers with their ceiling being so low, I just don't think there's necessarily huge returns for you. And again, if you're looking for a single game weeker, we touched on Emerson Royal. I think he could be a really nice move for you as well in terms of a transfer if you're really not favouring some of the double game weekers in 37. Sessegnon or a Crystal Palace defender, Chim saying. So Sessegnon's actually emerging as a really nice option. Again, Emerson Royal coming out really good on the projected points as well. So he's a really nice move as well. But Crystal Palace defender for this game week, I really do like. I think Anderson is a really easy move for you to make. Probably the route that I would go for. If I had to choose between the two, I probably would go for the Crystal Palace defender just because of that double game week potential there. Felix saying, can you do a free hit draft, Felix? Just rewind the live stream to the start. I covered 3 alternative free hits. I appreciate the people that maybe are still in this live stream aren't going to benefit too much of repeated content. So just rewind it back to there. You can check out all the 3 free hit drafts there for you. And thanks for obviously that question. The man, the myth, the legend. Simple question. Your prediction on Haaland's FPL price. Okay, this is going to be a really interesting one over the pre-season before all the prices get announced. Now, Kane, I believe, started the season on, I'm going to say, 12.5 million, I believe. So on that sort of premise, I think he's going to be hovering around the same. I think they're going to give managers a deliberation on whether to go for the new young buck in someone like Haaland or go for the experienced forward in Harry Kane at the start of the season. So can I see him at 11 million? No, I'll be surprised just because he's going into a Man City team that creates so many chances. 11 million is just a no-brainer. So I think he's going to come right in at 12.5 million and they're going to give managers a decision to make on what to do with him. I think Ronaldo probably will stay the same or come down a little bit. And I think Man United assets could be a really nice value pick next season. But in terms of Haaland, I think 12.5 is probably the route that they're going to go for. And they're just going to give you a choice, Kane or Haaland. And I think the big thing I will say as well, and someone mentioned this, is Haaland isn't going World Cup. We have to remember that as well. Isn't going World Cup. So he is fully in on Premier League. He's got no worries about, oh, I can't get injured because of the World Cup coming up. And remember, off the back of the World Cup, he is going to be fully resting for a month over that period. So I absolutely love Haaland. And the thing about Haaland as well is the fixtures you don't have to worry about. Man City are fixture proof. We know that in terms of their attacking assets. And the big thing about it is we can never predict minutes for attacking assets. If we can get a forward that is guaranteed game time week in, week out, then that could be an absolute FPL cheat code for us. And that World Cup, him not being involved in it, I think just makes it even more tempting to go for him as the FPL option going forward. Shabam saying, whom should I take under a 7.8 million forward? So if you're not free hitting, you're just looking at a transfer between now and the end of the season, and you've got 7.8 million. Let me just put the filters up here, because again, it's really useful to have this available to you. So look, Richarlison is still probably the route to go for. What I will say is Richarlison and Danny Ings are probably the route I would absolutely recommend for you to go for. However, we have to remember that the game week 38 fixture is not good for either. Everton are away against Arsenal, and we could be in a position where Everton are safe by then, which means that they could just roll out on that game and just kind of be, laying there for Arsenal to just pummel them. So I think Richarlison's great for 37. The same applies to Danny Ings in 37. But we have to remember, Aston Villa in 38, away against Man City. I see nothing but a Man City drumming against Aston Villa. So I think what you do, you go for Richarlison or Ings, whichever one you go for, and you just hope for anything as a kind of addition in game week 38. And if you wanted to, you could always go sideways to someone like Tony in 38 if you have another free transfer available. Basil, could we bench TAA as a cover for three doublers, Cash, Digne, and Mikalenko, or we must go for TA? So it's a really tricky one, Basil, because I think there's definitely an argument there to maybe just bench TA and go for the doublers that you've mentioned. But I think if you own TAA, you have to play him. I think it covers your Liverpool clean sheet sort of thing that could affect your rank. And I think while those doublers could come in clutch and they could definitely outscore Trent, I think if we see enough from the FA Cup final, we get the assumption that Trent is going to play against Southampton, then I think probably just going for Trent and starting him is the logical move for you to make for sure. Lewis, who's your captain this week? Right now, my captaincy is bust on Richarlison as we speak. However, if I go down the route of the Vardy free hit transfer, and I'll just put that on screen for you. Oh, I think I've lost the Vardy transfer, actually. Apologies. Yeah. I haven't got the free hit anymore for Jamie Vardy. But if I go down the Vardy free hit route, then I think Vardy is going to be my captain. I'm going to go big. Even though I'm ranked 880th and I should probably be protecting my rank, I really do think that is something that could be massively beneficial and could really propel me into the top 500. But again, it could backfire and I could be back out of the top 1k for sure. Shubham saying, what do you think about India? Have you tried Indian foods? Have you visited here or any plans in the future? 100% somewhere that I would love to go to for the culture of the food, absolutely. But unfortunately, right now, no plans as we speak. But somewhere I would love to in the future. And I know a lot of people have only high praises for that part of the world for sure. And FPL Freeze saying, Feezy saying, who to captain, Buendia or Ings? If I had a choice of the two, I would go for Danny Ings for sure. Baz was saying, thank you very much. No problem at all. So, guys, I mentioned it. Unfortunately, this live stream is going to be a lot more tighter for time than it usually is. So, we're going to have to wrap it up there. I got to shoot before 6 p.m. UK time. So, okay, we got one more question because you have just typed out a big one. So, I will help you out there. Ishwara saying, my team, Schmeichel, Sanchez, Cancelo, Alonso, what transfer would I make? Okay, so I would keep Schmeichel playing for this fixture and the next. And you're planning to play a free hit in game week 38. So you're basically looking for a one free basically transfer. So looking at your starters, I think your forwards is really where you are struggling here. If you have money in the bank, then I think a move like Pookie to somebody like Richarlison or Ings is the route for you to go down. So yeah, I probably would go down for that sort of direction for sure, if you could afford it. If you can't afford it, then I think you could potentially go for maybe Mahrez out for somebody, but I don't mind your team. I I think if you can upgrade your forward, I definitely would go down that route for sure. Cheeks, I predict Richarlison is going to let many managed out. I think there's definitely an opportunity for that, Cheeks, for sure. I'm praying it's not this week though at all. Chisel Content, mate, just ask your prediction on changing my FPL team to Katzuma for the next FPL season. I don't mind that, but FPL could be picky and maybe ban you, so hopefully they don't do that at all. So, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you can, leave a like on the live stream on your way out. I'd be massively appreciating it. Again, we are going to be doing a live stream before game week 38. Absolutely, it'll be the last one of the season. So please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out on the last one of the season. Cheekster, thank you very much. Take care, guys. Hope you have a great game week, and I will see you soon. Take care. Cheers.